started? Okay. So here today what we will be going to learn is the design of BookMyShow. So this is a common interview question. You may be asked in a system design interview to design BookMyShow app, right? Now, this question could be both, like we discussed last time, tiny URL question. This question could also be both. It could be a high level design question or it could be low level design questions as well. So in last few sessions we covered solid principles, low level design principles, and also we covered design of tiny URL. And tiny URL was the simplest of the question which you can get in a system design interview. Slightly more complex is the BookMyShow question. And if as an interview I ask you that design BookMyShow, no, as an interview I'll just stop there. I'll just give you one line that design BookMyShow app. And then now it's up to you to start and driving the discussion and come with the design of BookMyShow application or any movie booking application, right? If someone is interviewing you from US or Europe, he may not be aware of BookMyShow, but in US there is other apps. They have a Fanado app, and no, you may just be asked that, okay, design a movie booking app. So now who would like to take this? How you will approach this question?
So Tarun, I had a question here.
Yes.
So if an interview is saying that we have to design BookMyShow, so do we pursue only the HLD or LLD in particular, or we should have to pursue both?
Right. Yes. So this is, you have to first clarify with the interviewer. Your first step would be, if you have a one-liner question like this, design BookMyShow, you have to ask, do I have to do a high-level design or a low-level design, right? It may also happen that you know in advance, because the recruiter, while scheduling, he would have told you that this is a low-level design discussion or this is the high-level design discussion. But again, you have to drive the detailing of this application with the interviewer. So be in sync with the interviewer, and whatever portions he is asking you to focus on, you will do accordingly, right? So now first thing, as I have already mentioned earlier, is to clarify the functional requirements, right? Clear?
Yep.
Yes. So you will basically ask the interviewer what he is expecting. And if he says, okay, I'm expecting high level design, let's say for an example, right, we'll start with high level design. So the first thing what you have to do is you have to clarify the functionality, right? Now there is various ways to clarify for functionality. One way I like the most is to start drawing the use case diagrams, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this is a pictorial way of drawing the requirements. So first thing, when you are given any system, you have to identify what are the use cases, right? Primary use cases. And as the name suggests, the first use case would be booking a show, right? Booking a movie show, to be more clear. Now here you should note also that there are two kinds of actors. Tell me what are the different kinds of actors in BookMyShow. No, I'm not talking about the movie actors. This is the users. What kind of users the app can have?
So one can be the user who's booking the ticket, end user.
Okay. Yes, end user.
And admin who can add the movies.
Yes, there would be some person who is an admin, right? Correct. So that's the first part. Admin Who is an admin?
So who can add the movies or delete the movies from the system?
Inventory
Yes,
manager kind of.
right. But no, assume you are starting this app, Book My Show. Whom you will make the admin? You will have your staff who will be adding the movies, or you will have movie halls staff who will be admin for the Book My Show app.
Movie hall.
Yes,
For each
right.
movie, yeah, there will be a user, corporate user.
Correct. Yes. So both these users, if you are a Book My Show company, are third parties for you, right? So you would like to give access to the movie theaters to update the movie tickets and the shows, right? Anyone has any queries? They understand why you would like to kind of give the access to the movie halls? Simply reason is scalability, right? You would have thousands of movie theaters, maybe lakhs of movie theater. Now Book My Show is in 200 cities in India, right? And it may be international app also. So such apps may want to have thousands or millions of theaters who can offer tickets through the app. And this is very important because if you have to make any app scalable and successfully business wise, you have to get millions of users, both admins as well as end users, right? So when you are asked these questions in Amazon, Google, Facebook, you have to think of the scale of Google, Amazon and Facebook, and you don't have to restrict your mindset with to one city or one particular theater. You have to design the system considering the fact that this app will be used for booking tickets all across the world, right? Because that's how the thinking is there in Amazon. So Amazon, when they design any app, or in Google when they design any app, or in Facebook when they design any app, the first important mindset they have is this is a global app. They may not launch the app immediately to all the geographies, but the design will always be taking into the consideration all the countries and global reach for this application, right?
Right.
So now users have few functionality. One is book a movie show, right? Now this use case, if you have to understand, it's actually how the user goes and books a ticket is he will first search. How do you do, right? You select a city, right? Then you select your location, and then you select your movie
Language.
Yeah, language. Okay, correct. So basically this use case is searching, right? Because you have to search for the movie first, what movies are getting played in your city, and then you have to search for your convenient show, right? So you will select maybe the genre, of the movie, whether you want the drama movie, action movie, kids movie, whatever. And there are so many things you can search, but yes, there are some filters as well. Like you will filter by city, because you very less frequently book tickets which is outside your city, so your location is also very important, right? For advanced booking, maybe you can book for different city, but usually booking is happening in the time frame which is within few days. Most of the bookings are current bookings, right? So you have to select the city, you have to select the movie type, right? Maybe you will search with movie, and you will shortlist the movie with the theater, and then you have shows, correct? Right. So see, you should also, next step is, once you have this use cases, so these are the two primary use cases, I'll say, because since the interview will only last for 45 minutes, you cannot focus on many use cases. You may have another use case which is create profile, right? But I would suggest you to focus on the primary use cases as well. And for admin, you have a use case which is update shows, right? And seats availability, right? We can call this like this. The use case could be called like this. So this is actor, and he is having these three use cases, correct? And at the same time, admin has one use case which is wow. Okay, better to select like this and then join this. Yes, right, great. So yes, this is the use case diagram, right? So this you will clarify with the interviewer that these are the use cases which I will like to design the app for. Do anyone sees more use cases? Just try to brainstorm on more use cases as well.
Seat availability design, that is also one.
Okay, very good, very good. Yeah, that's a important use case. I would say choose a seat, right? Because this could be a sub use case of book a movie show, right? Because while you will be booking your show, you will also be selecting a seat.
Yes. And also paying for the show is one case.
Yes, payment is again I would say is a sub use case of book my show. Book a movie show use case, correct?
Yep.
Agreed?
And Tarun, for admin, there will be super admin, right? Who will create these admins, for example. who will
Perfect,
maintain
perfect.
that. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Right? So you may have a super admin who will be managing the access of hotels and not hotels, theaters, and he will also be taking some money from various halls, theaters, maybe subscription charges, or he may be responsible for some management activities, right? So super user will also be there. Good. So now we have three kinds of users. This is a BookMyShow employee, right? Because he would be the one who would be granting access to admins, right? Great. So
And what about refund use case? Like once user cancel the ticket, we need to initiate the refund of that booking, right?
yes, right. So that is return and refund. This is also a good use case, and you can treat it as a sub use case of booking a show, right? Or if you want, you can put one additional cancel booking, right? This is a use case. What I would advise you is to consider it as a sub use case. Reason is it's a part of payment, only payment use case, because payment will be, you may be paying the money and then you may also be asking for refund. So this could be a use case, sub use case of the payment itself, right? Cancelling and issuing a refund. All right. Anything
Another
else?
use case I could think of is saving the payment information, Tarun.
Okay, great. Yeah, so this would be part of the profile creation, right? So saving credit card or payment information. Good point. But yes, I will include again this as a sub use case of create profile. Right? Now you should and also understand, and you should also mention to the interviewer that some of the use cases are very critical and core use cases, and some of the use cases are optional use cases, right?
Right.
So can someone identify what are the optional use cases?
Saving the payment
Saving
information.
CC will be optional.
Yes, right, correct. So saving credit card information, this could be optional. Canceling a booking can also be optional, right? You can again argue, but not everywhere the cancellation may be required, right, or may be allowed. So cancellation, when you design, you have to also think of MVP. MVP stands for minimal viable product, right? So cancellation is good to have feature, but earlier, no, even the airline booking also, they used to say that, okay, in case you want to cancel the ticket, you have to go to the counter, right? So that may be available online, or that could be offline also, because depending on how frequent that use case is. If most of the theater do not allow cancellation, so if in case of BookMyShow, earlier it don't used to allow cancellation. Once you book, your money is deducted and you get the ticket, and you can only sell your tickets to your friends. If you get the ticket, there is no option. So a lot of people used to sell the tickets online also, if they just book the ticket in advance, but then their program changed, right? It was not supported. So you have to very clearly take one or two use cases, because more than that you will not have the time to design. Correct?
Right.
Now,
Tarun, this create profile can also be an optional feature, right?
yes, absolutely, right? Because I would tell you, there is a app in US, I'm forgetting the name. That app is just ask for the email ID, and I've used that app, but I'm just forgetting the name. I will post it. I'll try to recall it and post it in the internet, in the WhatsApp group. What exactly that app is called? That's a very famous app, and it is about booking show tickets. Mostly, it is used for selling tickets of the concerts, and it do not allow users to create a profile. What you can only do is you can choose a concert, and it is used by millions of users, because say assume in US, in Chicago, if there is a pop concert, so booking may open 1 month before or 2 months before, and then it will be booked immediately as the pop concert is announced by thousands and millions of users, right? So it's also very highly scalable application, because the concerts may be in multiple cities, and it will have thousands of millions of requests per second. And what it does is it just asks users to put their email ID, and the ticket is sent to the email ID, right? So this is an optional use case, correct? Now, where is the maximum complexity? Because that also you have to discuss with the interviewer, and you have to spend time in the maximum complexity stuff only, right? For example, update seat availability and update shows. This can be very critical feature, but it's not that complex, right? But what do you think is the most complex feature in this application?
Assigning the seats are dynamic, like multiple users parallelly booking the same movie tickets, right, from same place.
Right. So that is a part of book movie ticket use case, correct?
Yeah.
Yes. This is the most complex because when people are parallelly booking the tickets and there's only one seat left, who will get the seat? How the application will decide, and how it will ensure that users don't have a bad experience, that okay, they book a ticket and they got the ticket, but once they enter the hall they see someone else sitting in that place, and if he shows the ticket that person also has a valid ticket, then that's a problem because then they will fight, right? And the experience of movie watching will not be good. So this is a very important critical use case, and it's also most technically challenging use case because assume it's Friday and today just Bahubali movie got released. So many people will start booking the ticket, and there will be very few seats left, and it will happen definitely the situation that in a hall people are trying to book the same seat, and only the last seat is available, and there are multiple people trying to book at the same time, right? So this is definitely the most complex use case. So now you have understood that why the question was asked, right? They don't want you to design profile, they don't want to design how to store the credit card information, they don't want you to design user management, or you don't have to spend time designing the seat availability feature. But what you have to focus mostly is the core use case, and in that core use case also the most complex use case. Clear? Now with this use case you can go to very depth also. If it is a low level design use case, then you will have to go to the coding detail as well. And if it's a high level design, you will also have to go through the details about how will you design a system which is scalable, right? So other important aspect here is two people are trying to book book a ticket in a movie show, but what if when multiple users are there the system crashes, it could not scale, then that's also a bad experience. So first thing which you should do while designing the system is you will have to design it in such a way that's scalable, it's very scalable, correct?
Yes.
So let's move to the system design, and we'll start with designing the system components, correct? So you understood the use case, you understood where the most complexity is. Then handling concurrent users would be more of a low level design question, and high level will be the overall system design so that the system is very scalable. So this is two very important points to be you should be very much clear about. Is in case it's a high level design question, you will design the overall system architecture, and in case it is a low level design questions, then you will focus on how you will handle concurrency, right? How you will allow two users to book the same ticket and one only should get the ticket, right? Great. So let's focus on the high level design, system design. So I will start with, always you should start from the top down approach. You see that, okay, first user will install an app, right? So there will be a client. The client could be, I would say there would be app, it could be a mobile app. And the second thing is there could be browser app, right? Now I'm just walking through each and every flow. So the user, this you can do also with respect to the sequence diagram. or with respect to the activity diagram, but yes, we will start doing the component diagram, and we'll try to see that our high level architecture, which is HLD. So what I'm drawing right now is the HLD. It should be able to satisfy all the use cases of the system which we have discussed, right? So when I say browser or mobile app, they will try to access BookMyShow app, right? So they will put this site. So what actually happens when you type in bookmyshow.com? Your request will go to the servers of BookMyShow, right?
Right.
But before that, they may not know the IP address. So basically, DNS resolution will happen, right? Anyone understand DNS resolution and would like to tell when you type any website in a browser, what happens and what are the steps it's taken so that the request reaches the right server? Correct? And what is this server? System component which the request will reach.
DNS server will resolve it to IP.
Okay, but how the resolution happens?
There are tables which store like the IPs against this domain names.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so yeah, I can give you exact step, but I would ask you to be very clear with what are the steps, right? First thing is you will reach out to the root domain server, DNS, right? So there will be multiple DNS servers. Before that, how actually browser also have a DNS storage, right? So browser, if someone has previously visited the site, browser gives the IP address from its storage itself. It has a DNS server, right? Operating system also has a DNS server, so it stores the IP address there as well. Correct? And then there are external DNS servers as well. So what actually happen is you would be connecting to internet using your router. So in the router setting, you would have remembered that you would do the DNS settings. So the request when you type in any URL goes first to the DNS server of your service provider, which could be Airtel, which could be any other BSNL or Jio, Reliance Jio, whatever you are using, their server will be contacted. And then these servers may have a cache. They may know what's the IP address of BookMyShow, but in case they don't know, then they will look for the DNS root domain name server, which will be the .com server, right? And then it will get resolved recursively. So if you have a long URL, so it will go part by part, and then your IP address will be returned. Now, what is that IP address of? You should understand. So in BookMyShow, right, you would reach the data center where the bookmyshow.com is hosted, but what will be the IP address belonging to? Will it be an application server? Will it be the proxy server? Will it be a firewall? Will it be load balancer? Will it be any of other component? What it would be?
It will normally be the firewall.
No, it will be load balancer.
It can be load balancer or API gateway, right?
Right. No, load balancer is different and API gateway is different. Yes. What is a load balancer?
It shares the load between all the instances of the application.
Yes. So in this system design, right, so we already did some estimations. We say that this system will serve millions of users, right? So assume it has millions of users accessing this system per second, right? I will I'll 1 million user per second. If the system is handling 1 million users per second, how many load balancers would you need?
One.
Right, one. Yeah, correct. Absolutely right. So what you will get from the DNS server is the IP address. Okay. So you can mention, if you know this DNS lookup mechanism, to the interviewer that when the browser will process the request, it will do the DNS lookup. Interviewer may ask that, okay, give me the detail how the DNS lookup happens. So you should be aware of that. Okay, this is a recursive process and it may involve multiple systems. Like, no, if you are in a corporate network, say for example, if you are working in any organization like Oracle will have an intranet, and intranet may have a DNS server, because some of the internal DNSs may be resolved better by Oracle also. And it will also ensure that if you name any competitor, right, they may have some restricted sites also, which they will not want their employees to select. And sometimes they may also have a preferred site, that when you type database, they will want you to get into the oracle.com domain or Oracle database site. So they can do that preferencing through an intranet. So DNS lookup will happen with the help of multiple systems. So I'd advise you to read out about the DNS lookup. I can also share some good articles on DNS lookup. Other thing you have to be very much familiar with is CDNs, right? Do we need a CDN here in BookMyShow? Right? Because
probably when our application is in multiple locales or regions, then we must have a CDN, right?
Yeah, right.
Because the image of the picture, everything we need to have.
Right, absolutely. Because we forgot that use case, or probably you people were so familiar that you considered it like by default. But there is an important use case. The BookMyShow application also have a lot of videos of trailers and images as well, right? And you might have noticed that these images are also served very fast in the app, because what if you are booking a ticket, but sometimes while booking the ticket you are not decided what movie to watch. So you'll search by genre, and maybe you look out the casting, and you will look out the description of the movie and watch the trailer. So you would need a CDN as well. CDN is a cache for all the images and videos, right? And now coming back to load balancer. So I think everyone understands CDN. There's nothing very complex in CDN. There are some CDNs, many CDNs like Cloudflare. So what they have a storage, media storage, all across the globe. And when you take the service of a CDN, your request is served from the CDN rather than the servers of BookMyShow, right? So all these videos and images, they'll not be stored by BookMyShow. What BookMyShow will do is they will upload these information in CDN, and CDN will take care of distributing it, redundancies across all the geographies in the world. And it will make sure that response time is very less in case of this image download or video download, and that happens fast and it is near to your location. Say for example, if someone is watching some movie trailer from BookMyShow in maybe say some remote areas like northeast part of the India, then a CDN company may have a CDN server or the storage near to Assam, and when someone is watching there, he'll get the files very fast because it's located nearby. So there's less network latency, less network latency. So now load balancer, generally any big companies also, they will have two. One is required, but they may have another one in case there is a backup, some other one is for the backup purpose, right?
Decent, yeah.
Yes, correct.
Basically, active and passive.
Yeah, active passive better, because disaster recovery is different concept. So in case this has some hardware failure, then they can switch, right?
Automatic.
Switch to the other load balancer. But what is the functionality of load balancer?
See, basically, you will have multiple applications server downstream based on the volume or based on the features.
Correct.
So, what the load balancer does is, see, there are multiple concepts it can use to load balance between the downstream servers. It can be like round robin or least connection.
Yes.
Based on the algorithm, it will route to the particular server.
Yes. Right, absolutely. Yeah, you have to be aware of various algorithms also which are used by the load balancers, right? And you can go into any detail of any of these things which I'm discussing, right? Now, right, so load balancer is there. Correct. Yes, and then this load balancer has two main functionality. One, it knows about all the servers where it has to load balance, right? So all the requests which will come, they'll come to the load balancer, and when the request will be coming to load balancer knows the location of all the servers. So it will use any algorithm and it will direct the load to the appropriate server. Correct? Yes. This will be what server?
Application server.
Web server UI is there, so
Yeah, because you may ask for, say the request could be some HTML page, so it could be either web server or it could be mobile. When it is making a call, it will make a call to the API, REST API, correct? So depending on what call is coming, the call has to go to the right server, right? So this will be, what do you call? Proxy servers, right? It could be web servers as well. But yeah, I would say something, like Nginx could be there. So this is one design. There could be different approaches, but how it is generally done is you can have two kinds of requests. When I'm saying BookMyShow / some page, right? Say movies / Hyderabad, right? So something like this .html. If some URL is there which has some HTML content, I don't have to go to the application server. I'll have to get the page loaded first, right? So what kind of request it is decided by the path. If from mobile I'm accessing, it might be, call would be something like this, movies, and movie ID maybe, this is the movie to fetch, right? Something like this. So this is a REST API call. This do not have to go through the web server. It has to get the JSON, right? So what happens is you may have proxy servers. Now I'm just giving you, you don't have to mention to interviewer what kind of components are there, but this is for your information. It could be Nginx or it could be HTTPD. It's also called Apache Web Server, right? HTTPD. Or this could be, in case someone is a Microsoft customer, they'll be having IIS servers, right? Agreed? Right. Now before that, also I've said Shivam was also right that there will be a firewall also in place, and that firewall will be where? It will be before load balancer or after load balancer?
It will be before load balance.
Yes, right, correct. So the firewall anyway does nothing. It just blocks in case there is some unwanted requests, right? So if 8080 is the port and that's open, what it will do, firewall will do, it will analyze all the request. In case some unwanted protocol request comes in, it will just block that request, right? And it will does it before load balancer, because no need to load balance the malicious request, right? So firewall will have a logic to do the load balancing. Firewall will have the logic to filter the request to load balancer, right? So now coming back for few more information on load balancers are hardware or software?
There are both options.
Yeah, both the options are there.
For example, Nginx is a software load balancer.
Correct, software load balancer also.
Other hardware like array network.
Right. So yes, correct. So F5 load balancer is another example of this is the most popular load balancer, which is a hardware load balancers. But when you have to test it as a developer, you generally don't have access to hardware load balancers, because this will be very costly device of maybe $300K, and you will test with a software load balancer. Now why these hardware? So what's the difference? What should be used? Hardware load balancer or software, which should be preferred?
Software one should be cost effective, right?
Right. But here you are running a multi-billion-dollar business. So you'd like to have a hardware load balancer, because hardware load balancer will be more faster, because the logic to load balance is hardwired. It's like, in the circuit the logic will be hardwired. So this will be very fast, and you want very fast load balancers, because all the requests are going through the load balancers. And not only it does load balancing, it also do one more thing, which is it will run health checks, availability checks on all the servers, and it will know the availability of each of the servers, and if some server is down, it will not send the request to that server. So that's one functionality. Other functionality, it will do round robin, or some algorithm it will apply. So there are various algorithms. One is round robin, other one is weighted round robin. Then you have, based on the response time of each of the server, you can have load balancing based on the fastest responsive server available. You may have few more load balancing algorithms, so you can go through all the load balancing approaches as well. Like last recently used approach is also there for load balancing. So these are 5 and 6, whatever Shivam mentioned is mostly covering all the load balancing approach. But another important thing to note is F5 hardware load balancers sometimes also do HTTPS termination or SSL termination.
This is of.
So what is this?
See, basically the data comes in encrypted format now
Right?
over the internet. So it just decrypt it and reads the content. For example, based on the type of URL, it forwards the request to the corresponding server.
Right. Okay.
So, yes.
Okay,
This is
no,
a-
I'll explain it.
Yeah.
So we use HTTPS, right? HTTPS means all the requests will be encrypted. Now, when you have encryption in place, there is one problem that you have to decrypt it, and it will take time. Correct? So, if the encrypted message goes to the servers, they will take more time and they will take more load because they have to decrypt the information also. So what is one approach, sometimes it's preferred, is you terminate the SSL HTTPS at the load balancer itself, and whatever communication which is inside your network is HTTP. So that means you do all the decryptions at the load balancer itself. So that's called SSL termination. You use SSL only until your load balancer. After that, you use HTTP. Correct? Looks good approach. Again, it improves performance.
One question: if somebody is inside of our system, let us say if somebody can access your system past your load balancer,
Right. Your
Right,
admin,
right,
super
right.
admin, he can, right? This
Yeah.
guy can.
So,
So
would that be a
he-
great idea to have?
Yes. Right. So that's very good point, and that is another reason some companies they don't enable SSL termination, right? So it's up to you. If it's a very sensitive information, you may want to remain it encrypted inside also for security reasons. So very valid point, correct? Now, Nginx or your proxy server, when it will get the request, it will decide whether to put this request to API gateway, or if it's non-API call, it can put it into web server, or yeah, sometimes proxy servers they double up as web servers, so they will return the request by themselves itself because they can execute. Actually, all the HTML code, it need not have to be executed. All JavaScript, CSS, it is just given back to the client, and client will execute it on its browser. So here you may have a proxy server which is also a web server, or you may have other servers which could be web servers. So this depends on how your application is designed, right? So, but yes, usually this is the approach. Then you have the APIs here, API gateway. What kind of database would you use here?
I will use kind of Redis because this movie, the details what a user is fetching won't get changed frequently.
Correct. Okay. Yes, so one interesting point to note here is you'll need an API gateway. Okay, what is an API gateway?
Which knows the address of all the different services in our system.
Yes. So API gateway is kind of a load balancer, but it has more functionality, right? So load balancer was very simple application because it has to be very fast and it processes lots of requests. Right? Everything which is coming in is, we saw that okay, there will be only one or two load balancers. So they have to have very minimal functionality. But API gateway offers tons of functionality.
Securing the API.
Right, securing, yeah, what else? So there are various things, how would you secure? One is throttling, right? API,
Okay.
so API security also means you have API keys, right? So you check whether the API key is valid, and if the API key is valid, then only allow the API request. This is generally for third-party APIs also, because you may have an ecosystem. So throttling is there. There are various rate limiting is there, right? Various features. There is caching also is provided of HTTP request by API gateways. There could be the service registry, right, at the API gateway. They will also provide billing of APIs in case you are running some service and you want to charge third parties for calling the APIs. Then all these features will be provided by API gateway, right? So this is very detailed description of what is API gateway. But next thing is where you will be running the business logic, and then next thing is your database, right? I would suggest for this you have a well-defined schema and you need fast search, right? So since you have a well-defined schema, you don't have to, because movie will have actors, directors, music directors. So this is, in advance. You may want to make it more scalable, but what is also important is you have to run queries on it also. You have to filter by multiple fields like movies, theaters, shows. So you may choose relational database. Correct? Any other suggestions?
I think relational one
We
is
could
the
put the reads into Redis, right?
Yeah, right. Okay, this is very important point that you may have a caching layer here. Correct? You would need caching also, because you are serving so many requests and there are so many theaters you are searching from, and there are so many shows. So you need caching definitely. So you may use a caching layer, which could be Redis, Memcache, anything.
Tarun, here I have a question. In API gateway also you can implement caching. Then why you need a separate caching?
Yeah, this is database cache.
Okay.
This is your cache for the REST APIs. API gateway is for the REST means it's basically API gateway. What it does is REST API gateway. Right? Understood?
Got it.
So this is the protocol which you use here is REST or some. Now there are a lot of REST alternates also, right? You want to name them?
Yeah.
If you would have heard of, there could be remote process call, GPRC,
Google.
right? And you may have
WebSockets.
GraphQL, correct? So there are various other. Now, web service that was SOA based, that is old legacy. Now no one uses SOA or SOAP, correct? So these are various protocols which you run. But yes, API gateway, they will support all kinds of protocols, and they will support caching for all these kinds of service as well. Yes. Now, so everyone agrees that we should use database, which is a relational database, and caching also we should use here for the database caching, because application server, when it will be searching for some availability, correct? Now I'll give you one example. When you book a ticket, it would have happened many times that you selected, okay, I want to book a movie ticket for say Lal Singh Chadda, and then you booked the ticket, and after some time when you are about to pay, it says the seat is no longer available, sorry, it's all gone, right? What happened in that case? Why is that? Even in Amazon also, maybe you are trying to buy some items. It could also be in some of the Instamarts also, like if you are using Swiggy, Instamart, you are buying some items, or in some restaurant also you are ordering food, and you see that okay, that item is available, but when you are making a payment, you get a pop-up that okay, sorry, your item is no longer available. Any idea why is that?
Somebody else took it.
No, but even in that case, in availability, it should show if someone else took, right? It should show you that that item is not available because someone else
Because
is.
multiple persons are booking at the same time.
Right. So that is also partially true, but I'll tell you the reason. First time when you asked for the availability check, right? It got you the information from the cache. In the cache, the data was there and you didn't got the most up-to-date information. You got the information fast, but it was not the most up-to-date information. But when you purchase that item, or when you finalize the booking of that item, at that time it tried to reach the real data, because they will refresh the cache and they will try to get the latest information to confirm your order. And then they found, oh, what was in the cache was wrong, the item is not there, and then they say, sorry, the item is not available. Correct?
Okay.
So this is also one of the reason, and also there could be other reasons, but generally applications will be designed to handle that situation, that when multiple users are trying to book the seats, then only one will be allowed, other will not be shown that seat, right? Because it otherwise is a bad experience, that okay, someone's booking and then he late. Fail fast approach should be used here. Correct. So most of the time this caching is the reason why you see that. Sometimes also you see that okay, rate has changed, right? In Uber or in many places you see that okay, you booked, and again that reason was rate has changed because earlier you saw the rate from the cache, but then while booking any of the details may get updated in the meantime, and then you will see that notification saying that whatever you are trying to book details are now no longer valid, there is an update. So the caching is very important. You have to ensure that in your system design, CDN, you don't forget to use caching here, right? This is your system design for BookMyShow.
Should we also have one more load balancer between API gateway and app servers, because it will be different availability zones, for example, different pods
between the API gateway and
API servers, kind of route load balancers?
Yeah, that load balancing functionality is inbuilt into API gateway itself.
Okay.
Right. So yes, your point was very valid, but this is taken care by the API gateway itself. Right. But now we are missing one very important component here. Right. Anyone can guess what is the most important component? It is one of the most important component, but that is being missed in this system design. because payment processing, okay, we did not took care, but yeah, that use case is little bit not considered here, because the
So
system will
message
not
bus
be.
should be there.
Pardon?
Message bus you are talking about.
For what? For what?
Message queue
Yeah, we need a message queue, but for what?
for payment acknowledgements, successful or failure.
Yeah, so one important use case what is also there is notifications. Okay, there are so many notifications the applications gives, right? Almost nowadays for such kind of application, you will have SMS notification, you will have email notifications, you will have sometimes app notifications also, right? So there will be SMS notifications, there will be email notifications, lot of things will be processed asynchronously. So you would need a Kafka or a message broker, right? So I'll just create a message broker. So everything which is getting processed by web servers, they will be also published into Kafka layer, and these message brokers, all the services will be reading also here. Correct. So I'll put this like this. So ingestion so okay. So there will be multiple topics for payment processing, for various other stuff, and based on various events, you may have email notifications and you may have SMS notifications also. In case any item is completely processed, your payment is processed, you will receive email or SMS or both. Correct? So this is the design of I don't need we can just say a bidirectional channel, right? So in architecture diagram, you can just mention a bidirectional channel. Sometimes you use this kind of symbol to show that, okay, there is a bidirectional channel. It's taking an input output from this, right? Everyone understood this component?
Yeah.
Right? So for sending messages and for asynchronous processing, because you'll have millions of requests coming in, so you don't want some servers busy and some requests getting missed out. So you'll queue all these requests into message server, and based on the completion status, message queue will also send email and SMS as well, right? So the
Tarun, one question.
Yes.
Not related to message queue, but it is related to the database choice.
Okay, tell me.
So we have estimated that we'll have our application being hit by 1 million concurrent users, right?
Yes.
So why is this a same choice to have a RDBMS when insertion performance on RDBMS can be a bit slower? Right?
Yes. See, RDBMS can do the querying very fast.
Yes.
Right?
Agreed.
And RDBMS is slow, but you can have sharding and partitioning here. Right? So one important thing that you should...
I was thinking of something. Please correct me if I'm not correct.
Yes.
I was thinking of taking a NoSQL database here for insertions, and asynchronously, I would have created a reporting database, relational one, that can be used for querying purposes.
Yes, your design is also right. I would say that's also a good choice. Correct?
Okay.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. And see, NoSQL databases are very scalable.
Yes.
But nowadays, no, you can also MySQL is also very scalable. Postgres is also very scalable. So there are various factors which may choose. So it's both the designs will be considered correct. So when I say it's relational, I'll use relational database. There is also no harm in that, right?
Okay, great.
And if you
Okay.
say you use non-relational databases, that is also a valid design, because there may not be too much of difference in both these design choices,
Hmm.
right?
Okay, okay, understood.
But
Tarun,
whichever you are more comfortable with, you should use. And I would suggest people for interview, no, in real life you use NoSQL database, but for interviews here use relational database, because then you can discuss in more depth the queries, SQL queries and database design, everything, right, to the interviewer. So here
Hmm.
it's more about showcasing your understanding. So if you say, okay, I will use a NoSQL database and I'll store movies as documents, and there will be relationships between documents, and I'll use store JSON data and all. I may use Node.js. So there is not too much to share. It's more of low level design, and there are less concepts you can consider in this case, right? So the discussion may not be that useful, but when you say that, okay, I'll use relational database, then you can discuss a lot of things like indexing, and how you design the databases, and what tables will you use, what views you will use. You may use reporting as well, but yes, reporting we are not considering, because with this all only we are over time, right? So you have to choose things which you can finish within the time frame of the interview, because now we have almost taken 1 hour 40 minutes. No, not 1 hour 40 minutes, slightly more than 1 hour 10 minutes, something like that we have already spent on the discussion, but it was an interactive discussion. But yes, definitely these all discussions you can conclude within 45 minutes in a system design interview. So this is how you should approach the relational database design for BookMyShow app.
Tarun, I have a question between this
Yes,
SQL
yes,
and
sure.
NoSQL database. My primary understanding is, see, when you have frequent write, the best thing is choose the relational database. And when you have the read is more, then go for NoSQL. That is my understanding. Is my understanding correct, Tarun?
Could you just repeat again?
See, basically there are two options broadly. One is SQL database and another is non-SQL database.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. See, my basic understanding is when you have frequent write operation, then go
Okay.
for SQL database. And when you have frequent read scenario, then go for NoSQL database. That was my understanding.
Yeah. See, you can have frequent read scenario in SQL databases as well, right? See, SQL databases have the advantage that you can write SQL queries, right?
Yeah.
And SQL is so convenient, so that is also it simplifies your application design also. So that you should also take into consideration. So that is read and write. Number of read and write is not the limiting constraints, because Facebook uses MySQL. MySQL database is proven database for reading and writing both. Most of the websites they use MySQL. LampStack
Okay.
is a MySQL database, was very popular in web application development. The two things which are important to choose SQL and NoSQL database is, first thing is that if there are financial transactions happening, you will probably go with consistent database, which is SQL database, right? Oracle, these databases are proven for financial transactions. So generally in banking industry, that's, but yeah, you would know more here because you come from that domain and there may be some changes in these domains. But for storing financial information, say for example account related information, relational database is good because they have the feature of commit and rollback. You have the concept of transaction. That is why it is good to have relational database used in financial transactions. Do you agree?
Yeah. That is why we have gone with relational database.
Right. So the other reason is if you want to use SQL, right? You have to write queries, SQL queries, and SQL queries are very simple to execute and program. For that matter also, you use SQL databases, and in this case, since we have to do querying on genre, city, movie, theater, right? This simple search is based on few properties of the table or table column. This you can do well. So development simplicity is also another factor which we use SQL for, right? These are the two factors, and in case these two features are not required, then there is no need to go for database, SQL database. You can go for NoSQL database. So most of the time you go with NoSQL databases, but in NoSQL databases there are many choices. First is the graph databases. Graph databases are used for storing relationships, like if you have a hierarchy of managers in an organization or social network, friend circles, right? These kind of the data you can represent in graph databases. Other kinds of databases are document databases. If you want to store JSON database, you use MongoDB. MongoDB is so good in processing JSON, and if you want to store the data in the form of JSON, you can use MongoDB, and MongoDB has a very important advantage that you don't have to define the schema. So when your schema is not constant and it will be changing very frequently, then you will not go with relational database because you have to change your schema multiple times, right? Okay. So for Facebook today they introduced, maybe they may ask tomorrow to also store fingerprints of people. Some day they may asking to store your favorite movie, favorite sport, favorite actor. So they could keep increasing their fields also, right? Okay. So in that case you use NoSQL databases mostly. Other database is geolocation. If you have Google Maps kind of data, then there is a geospatial databases. Then there are databases which are Hadoop kind of database, HDFS. These are called MapReduce databases. When you need MapReduce processing, there is another class of database. I'll share you list of all different kinds of database and when to use them. So there are 12-13 types, but for specific purposes you use specific types of database. And now in microservices architecture, you may have multiple microservices also, and each of the microservices may be using different kinds of databases as well.
Yeah.
Right. So, but yes, you brought in a very important point that we should not generalize. I will also ask you not to use that universal statement that I will only use relational database or I will only use non-relational database. We should never use that in interview. So I made a mess in this by saying that we'll go with relational database. I should have said that for storing movies I will use relational database, but definitely there will be multiple microservices as well, and for other microservices we may consider using different kinds of databases as well, right? Because maybe you want to store location also. There could be time series databases as well, ETL kind of stuff, you can use. So there are so many choices. Now in microservices, we cannot say that there is no central database. There are many databases and almost one database technology per microservice, and that team is free to decide what kind of database they want to use. So this is about database choices, right? But yes, for one use case here, which was this booking a show and storing information related to movies, theater, shows, cities, I would prefer to use relational database because of SQL developer simplicity and because of being able to have a well-defined schema, right? But again, many designs could be right. So there is also nothing wrong with using NoSQL with this kind of database. But for financial database, we generally prefer relational databases. Great. Any other queries?
One thing, Tarun, for example, can I say that introducing a cache will reduce the cost, like it will reduce the number of hits to the DB, it will save some money.
Yes.
Can I add that point, or it's always about performance when in the interview?
Right,
it's not
right.
about
So
costing.
database is generally the bottleneck for your application, and you should use the caching at the database level as well. So yes, this will reduce your so benefits are, you will reduce the cost in the sense that the network bandwidth you will save, and you'll have a better response time.
Yeah, correct. And
Correct.
also, like if it is AWS kind of thing, they will charge based on number of hits. So, for example, DynamoDB, that also we can add.
Yes, right. So caching will help you because you will not be writing again and again to the database if it's a cloud database you are using. There is another way where you can save database cost. Is, what's the other technique? You can, that's called query aggregation, right? Rather than making multiple select calls. Yeah, you were saying something?
Batching.
Yeah, query batching, right? I forgot exact term, but yes, we should be very familiar with all these terms. Query batching is very important because that will also help you reduce cost, because database charges, based on number of SQL queries. So if you have, say, 10 employees and you want to get salary information for all of 10 of them, so rather than sending 10 SQL requests, say for employee ID where ID is equal to 1, get salary, same you can do it in loop. Instead of doing it in loop, you put maybe, fetch salaries of employees where IDs are in the set 1, 2, 3, 4, to 10. So this way you will only be charged for one request. This is very important consideration when calling some cloud database, because it costs you less and it performs well also, because the database connection is less. You require less database connection, because when you make 10 queries, you'll have 10 JDBC ODBC connections. So it's resource intensive as well as cost also. You will pay more for that, and your server will also get consumed more. Performance will also get degraded in case you don't do query batching. And in programming in cloud environment, this is very important considerations.
Okay, thanks.
Great. So now today we covered the complete high-level design, and in the next session we'll look into the low-level design. We'll go into more detail. We went into the detail of high-level design, but still a lot of things we can cover, which is more related to the payment use cases and handling concurrency, and which is more of low level design. And then also we will go into details of how to design the database for this application, because now you assume that this is overall system design. If you put this design, and this will take care of the scalability and all the analyties, which is availability, which is performance, and no fault tolerance, everything will be taken care with this kind of architecture in high level design. And we will deep dive into specific use cases in next session.
Yeah, hi Tarun. Can we add like something components like authentication and authorization kind of as well? Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yes, right.
And also,
Okay, very good point. See,
yeah, and also like in functional use case, like sometimes like based on the promo codes or something like we can book the show. So that also I think that we can add.
yeah, see
Promo
now,
code offers.
okay, great. Yes, I will say this is also sub part of authentication. Create profile, because if you have profile feature, then only you need the authentication, right?
Yes.
Yes or no?
Yeah, profiles are it comes under I think authorization like where based on the
Yeah, but
based on
what
the
you
user
will do
type.
with okay, for user and for admin, you need
Yes.
authentication.
Authorization.
Yeah, authorization
Authorization.
and authentication. Yes, definitely valid point. Right. So there will be authentication required to validate, but then you can do this way also, which is only have the admins login, right? And users, if you don't provide login, then you can be a user,
Okay.
right? In a primitive scenario, this could be one use case where when you need any access, admin access, some tables, they will be authenticated, but for many of the tables like movie, theater, city, genre, right, there will be no authentication. For read you don't need authentication, for write you need authentication. That could be one mechanism. But yes, the use case now, this is has become very important, and this could be considered for profile creation and for various other use cases as well. Basically, with profile you will also maintain the history of there are a lot of things which BookMyShow does. It will suggest you movies which are as per your liking. It will also track your history and use AI/ML to show you the movies which you will like to book more frequently. So for that kind of use cases, now this has also become very important. And authentication is too, and are of various kinds. One I would say is simple authentication, which is username password authentication. But what we should implement is OpenID based authentication, or OAuth, right?
Tarun, we can include OTP based authentication as well, right?
SAML, yeah, OTP is two-factor authentication, right? You can say multi-factor authentication. But see, security is like, no, airport security. Everyone dislikes it because it takes time, right? So
Right.
OTP is, we should use whenever there is necessary, correct? Because the user experience will be bad. So people have to enter OTP, they have to take their mobile devices or check email, and then more steps are required. It takes more time. So we should not over engineer things, but what companies are doing, authenticate using Google login, authenticate using LinkedIn login or Facebook login. So this is what I was suggesting here. We need SAML or OAuth protocol to implement these kinds of authentication, where User need not have to store username, passwords, OTP, etc. In case they are authenticated at Google, they can get access to this application also, and they can get access to their profile. Right? So this is very good point which Rizwan has raised, that we should think of auth or SAML use case as well. Here, and for admin, yes, we can use, again, good point from Mohit, we can implement here for admins OTP based authentication, and the term to use here is multi-factor authentication. Okay. Because if someone hacks it and changes the price of a movie, there will be a lot of loss, right? And big
Yes.
movies like, some person may hack it, and people who have spent 400 crore rupees for movie like Brahmast, right? They will not earn good revenue, right? So yes, for admins, because most of the bookings would be nowadays with the app. People are not now going to the counter and getting into the queue to book the tickets. So this becomes very critical, and multi-factor authentication for admins will be very important here, right? Admins and super admins as well, right? So this is your complete use case diagram and high level design diagram, component diagram, correct?
And Tarun, should we add workflow because someone is adding movie that need to be get validated by someone? Because if one admin is having access, he can't put some junk data. It need to be validated and approved when he is adding the movie.
Yes.
That is a sub use case. It's not a main.
Right. So see, here you have to think of that one way to do is by doing the validations in the database side, right? So for example, someone is putting price as negative number. Actually, this is so you should have very good database validation. In Amazon, early days of Amazon, there were few bugs, like people can order negative quantity of the item, and they got credits for that I purchase of that item into their bank account. So you can go and buy some book and order -10 quantity, and if the book is say $50, you will get $500 in your account. So many people earn through that, right? Security holes. So it's important here that we should have good validations, and how to update the authentication information, and how to update the availability information. That should be, yes, a workflow design could also be there, but again, we have to think about simplicity also, because sometimes the theaters, they don't have a lot of stuff, right? So I would say, when I will design, I'll keep it simple, and I'll just trust the user who is admin to enter some valid information. Anyway, I'm doing multi-factor authentication, right? So I would resist here to design a complete workflow for admins. Maybe super admins, I will design a workflow. When he is onboarding an admin, I will try to ensure that there is a process followed, because maybe the GTIN number needs to be validated, maybe that theater should be valid, right? It should not happen that someone is ending seats and there's no theater in place. So people book ticket, and then this guy runs away to London and right. So that can be a fake. Someone can create a fake theater. I should avoid it. So there I would need there I will put a workflow that this is taken care, that people can only add theaters which are real theaters. Some verification. But yes, good point here. I'll put this for admin.
Tarun, food and beverages should be there or not? I mean, that is an add-on, but should we consider it?
until unless interviewer do not ask you, right? Because here, as an architect also, assume you are an architect in startup
Mm-hmm.
and your CEO or whoever is the founder, he gave you design this app. So you have to focus on the core use cases and things which will give you most business benefits, right?
Yes.
So you're based on the business priority. If you feel that okay, maybe you'll be earning more by food and beverages, which is right now the case, then you design that feature also, and you put more emphasis on that. But yes, I think that's a good point to sell food and beverages. But you need to clarify this, that is it within the scope of this design question, because we are not designing app, we are preparing for interview, and our main motive is to convince the interviewer. And if he likes this feature, maybe you think about proposing this. But yes, if he is a what kind of person that interviewer is, that will matter in this case, what kind of flexibility, right? So some people may get upset with so many features you are putting up. They will say this person is not structured, and he is not focusing on one thing, and he's venturing out into multiple things, which is not a good quality of good architects. They'll only focus on one use case, and they will deep dive, and they will thoroughly design it, and they will design it to perfection. So that should be your focus, that you should not try to explore the width of the features. You should try to explore the depth of the feature, because for clearing the interview in big companies, you need depth, right? And depth is more important. Very less people have the depth, but width is easy to develop. Now if I ask my kid, he will also suggest 10 features. So if you are even suggesting good features, that will not give you more credit. But if you drill down and go to details of code of one feature, that will earn you more credit in the interview. Understood?
Okay. Okay.
Right? So
Makes
this is
sense.
very important, I would say, point you raised. And I'll take it that this should be considered as a technique how you should answer an interview question. And in any interview question in big companies, you focus more on the depth rather than the width. So if you say we want to sell beverages and all blah blah blah, as a product manager, that's their duty. But software engineers, they have to write code, so you have to think about technicalities, how to handle 1 million users without failing their requests, and having all the bookings correctly made, and the payments received into the accounts. And yes, focus will be more on the core use case and doing it well, because of limited time, and also because of this is how the architects thinks in big companies like Google, Microsoft, Amazon.
Okay.
Great. Any other question? Yeah, this was very good discussion, and I really appreciated all the questions, because they were very valuable. I would have missed out all these important points if no, I would not have taken these questions. So thanks for asking all the questions, and brainstorming in this design. So hope now you feel more confident to design such kind of systems, right?
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Great. So yes, thanks for this, for attending the session, and we'll have more sessions more frequently here, because many of you would get into interviews soon or later, and in one flow, if we cover more topics, so that will also be beneficial for you, because that flow will be there. And if we do after many weeks, more topics, then people don't get that flow and they lose continuity, and they have to recall. Most of the time we spend in recalling the previous topics. So let me, yes, I'll be in touch with you all over WhatsApp, and I'll propose more sessions next week, right, even earlier. And definitely thanks, Shivam, and we'll look forward for your session on UPI next week, next Sunday, the same time, right?
Okay, correct. Yeah.
Great. So yes, for next session on the Sunday, we have this agenda to discuss design of UPI systems.
Yeah, correct. I'll prepare for that.
It will be, yes, presented by Shivam. Great. And others
Thank
also, if they want to present something, feel free to write to me. I will give you slots. I will open up more slots so that we can have more sessions as well. And also, all these sessions I'm recording it, and better, there's no better place to share the recordings than YouTube. So if any of your sessions also goes viral, we can also think of like we are a one organization. We are a YouTube channel by ourselves, which will be discussing these system design aspects. So in case we become very popular, then to all the presenters, whatever the revenue will be generated, I'll share also. But yes, we are far from there, because for YouTube to monetize it, it takes a lot of viewership, thousands, multiple thousands. But yes, our focus should be on learning. But yes, in case in future that happens, I will also take care that okay, I can share all the revenues, and we can kind of at that time think of creating another popular channel, like there are many in YouTube. Any other suggestions? Any thoughts, any points?
Yeah, Tarun. So related to that promo codes, I mean like offers related also, like can add in functionality. Can we add that part as well?
Coupon. Okay, great. So that how that is also part of the booking and payments use case, that user should be able to add coupon codes for getting discounts into the booking, right?
Yes.
Awesome. Yeah, these becomes a separate questions. So basically, that could be one design question in itself. Yeah, good. So I'll think about all these queries. I'll try to schedule sessions on these topics, or otherwise, if I find faster, I'll share blogs, and I'll also put these on document and share across WhatsApp. Great.
Thanks, Tarun, and thanks, Tim.
Sure. Cool. See you then
Thanks
next week.
Thanks for the
And
Thanks.
yes.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Great. Okay. Bye. Thank you.